Hello, ladies, and welcome to Her Life Unscripted, episode 80. My name is Anna Osborne, and I am your host, coming to you live from the Her Life Unscripted studios in Sacramento, California. Happy New Year to all of you. It is officially 2018, which is wild and crazy to me. Think about all this future talk and just hard to believe that we're at nearing the ends of the teens. So wild and crazy. But Happy New Year's to all of you. I'm excited to be here. I haven't recorded a show since the end of November, and is that right? I think that's right. Yes, because I took December off. So it feels like it has been forever and a day since I have recorded and just slowed down to talk with all of you. So I'm excited to be here today and really to kind of orient you to a bit of the changes that are coming with this new wonderful year. So, as many of you know, I am a part of this amazing group of women. There is 9 of us, and we call ourselves the GSD group. We are the Get Stuff Done group, if you're listening with kids. And if you have earbuds in, it is the Get Other Stuff Done group. And so it is a group of women. We're all business owners. We're all therapists, and we all just do... Our practices are much more dynamic than just sitting in a chair and talking to a client on the couch, which to me is most therapists' jobs are much more dynamic than that. But I think that there is very much a stereotype around therapy that literally therapists just sit all day, which is true. We do sit a lot, but it is really amazing to be with a group of women that just have really dynamic practices and do more than just therapy sitting in the chair in the office. They do lots of other programs. So as you all know, I've talked about this group of women and just how amazing they are. And we do these yearly trips. This coming year, we're going to Canada together for a week and just work on projects and collaborate on, what we're doing, but getting feedback from the group in real time. And it's just this amazing, amazing trip that we do every year. And then we keep in touch throughout the year. Anyways, the point of all that is that we have these kind of year-end wrap-ups on our group online, and we talk about, the goals that we have set out to accomplish and that we have successfully accomplished, and then also the ones that we thought were the best goal ever and the best use of our time and energy, only to discover that it fell flat and we didn't rediscover it until kind of that year-end wrap-up. And another thing that we do is we really define a word for the year of what we're going to just kind of focus our decision making on to be able to align our energy so there's more intentionality with our choices. And it's just this really cool thing because once you have a word that you're operating from, it starts to feel different when you make decisions, because everything's being filtered through that word. So that has really led me, this kind of end of the year wrap up has led me to making some shifts in my business and personally making shifts and being able to better align myself with really kind of what my intention of the year is. And for those of you that follow my psychotherapy practice, I rebranded everything this last fall and launched it all at the end of November. And so now that psychotherapy practice, which used to be My Happy Couple, is now called Life Unscripted Counseling. And it has been really amazing the last probably 5 weeks of the year to have that all launched and really feeling like the energy behind this podcast is now aligned with the energy of my psychotherapy practice, and just feeling this kind of sense of almost renewal that has happened in terms of really aligning those energies and no longer having them almost moving in different directions, which for me tends to distract me, fatigue me, just kind of take me off into a lot of distraction. So, with all that being said, I have made the very, very hard decision to move Her Life Unscripted podcast to a monthly podcast for the time being. This is not a permanent change by any means, but for the next probably 3 to 4 months, it will be a monthly podcast. So one episode coming out the second Tuesday of the month, because I'm really wanting to kind of create this intentionality around my energy. And when I am present giving my energy, I want it to be 100%. And I've got some, shifts in the practice being made, some different expansion. and things like that going on. And just knowing that I wouldn't be able to give the podcast the energy that it deserves and not wanting to shortchange it. So I've decided, you know what? For the first quarter, I'm going to move to a once a month podcast and see what happens then, because I absolutely love the community that we've created. I love hearing from you guys and gals, and I love just the mission behind Her Life Unscripted. So it's definitely something that I don't want to neglect or stop doing, but also this recognition that I can't move 12 inches, or I can't move 12 different directions in 1 inch. I really want to be able to focus my time and energy to be moving in one direction 12 inches, which I know I'm butchering the saying, but you guys know you're picking up what I'm laying down. So that is probably the biggest change that's coming to the podcast, of shifting over to a once a month episode. And, if you check out the new website, Her Life Unscripted Counseling, you'll notice that there's a new look to that too. And my hope is at the end of the first quarter to merge everything so it's housed under one website, so that Life Unscripted Counseling is not only my psychotherapy practice, but you'll be able to access the Her Life Unscripted community through that website too, kind of all one similar portal. So that is the biggest change, and in terms of how it really impacts the audience. But I did want to share that with you. And the reason that I've shared this kind of backstory about the year-end wrap-up with the GSD girls and kind of that, setting goals and that intentionality around the word of the year is because my word of the year it's 2 words, is ease and discernment. Is really wanting to be more discerning with the projects that I take on and the choices that I make, both personally and professionally, so that I can create more ease in my life. And I don't mean ease from a place of, I've got it easy, right? I mean it from a place of just more breath, more space, that not everything's so jam-packed or crunched together that when I instantly look at my calendar for the week, I'm overwhelmed. Or I think about taking some time for myself and I look at my calendar and go, oh, that's not possible. Like, that's not the life that I want to live. And I believe in the power of space and breath and soul care, and knowing that keeping up with all that excites me, I have to have enough space to do that. So that really is, my focus for the year. And it's so interesting. When I started the podcast back in 2016, it was such a creative process and something that an outlet and a way to connect that I was just craving. And my kids were obviously 2 years younger then. And so there was a lot more isolation in terms of parenting and whatnot. And now we're just in a very mobile phase. My kids turned 6 in 2 weeks, and life is just a lot more, they're starting activities, they're starting to develop friend groups and things like that. And so I think being able to create more space to really allow them to develop into the people that I just so am anxiously awaiting to meet, really that ease and discernment become really 2 big principles for me to make decisions both personally and professionally. And, it really hit me kind of, obviously everything launched over the end of November around the rebrand of the psychotherapy practice. But I was just realizing over this last year, I've had some really, really amazing opportunities, and also feeling overwhelmed by them at times, or feeling like, gosh, where do I direct my energy because there's so much going on? And so being able to really have everything channeled in one direction felt really authentic to me. And so I want to share with you guys some of the things that I'm doing to create that. Because I think that it's very, very important for all of us to be able to know how to align energy in our lives, but also the importance of it. The whole principle or the whole backbone of Her Life Unscripted is being able to support one another as we navigate life's most unscripted moments, which is pretty much all of life, right? And that when we are moving in all these different directions, it ends up competing with what we're trying to do, meaning that if we move to the right and then quickly move to the left, that it ends up being no movement because we've competed against those 2 energies, therefore blocking the movement that we want to make. So that is really what today's show is about, is not only how the importance of why aligning energy is so important, but how do you do it in your own life? So we shared a little bit about why it's important, right? That we prevent ourselves from creating and maintaining movement when we are pivoting too quickly, when we are moving this direction or that direction and not realizing that it's creating almost this kinetic energy that is totally unproductive. I think of it when I'm doing one thing, like let's say, for example, I'm something mundane. I'm moving the laundry from the washer to the dryer. And all of a sudden, before I put the clothes in the dryer, I go to empty the drying, what's that little thing called? You pull out the lint collector and I go to dry it or go to empty it. And I go to empty it in the garbage and all of a sudden I realize the garbage is full. So I take the garbage outside and then I realize, oh gosh, like, I need to move that one thing in the garage. And all of a sudden, I'm 8 steps away from moving the clothes from the washer to the dryer. And so that's such a small example, but we do it so much in our lives where we just start leapfrogging projects on top of each other, and never create that space to have any sort of stillness or any sort of actual movement because we're constantly tripping over ourselves. So for me, it is so important for all of you to be able to hear that being able to align our energy and have it moving in a fluid direction is really, really important. And sometimes we have to clear things out in order to have that movement happen because it is so prevented. And so one of the big things that I did this year, the last week of the year, is I cleared out anything that I don't use. And I found wonderful homes for them. Between selling some stuff on eBay and donating some stuff to, other families, being able to, kind of give food away that I knew we were never going to eat that was perfectly fine and unopened, like all these things of just this energy that was just blocking up within my household. And you have to know that I'm not a trinket, cluttery type of gal. Like I don't like lots of spaces filled up. And so when we actually were getting ready to sell our house over in the fall, we were thinking of selling our house. We decided not to, but we were thinking about it. And we had the realtor over to kind of just, look at the house and see what we would need to do to list it and all that stuff. And the realtor looked around the house and said, there's a couple kids things you'd have to take down, but there's not a lot that you need to remove to, be able to list the house. Now, for some people, they hear that and they go, oh, that's so sad, right? Like, oh, that's so sad that she doesn't have so much stuff in her house that, putting a few things away like family photos and kids' handprints and things like that is enough to be able to make it ready to list. To other people who have a similar disposition as myself, they go, oh my gosh, that's so cool, right? For me, the biggest compliment of a realtor looking at my house and going, there isn't that much stuff you need to take away to be able to show it, was like, yes, my house is clutter free, right? And so the week after Christmas, I went through and I just, every drawer, every closet, every cupboard, I just looked through and I'm like, do we use this? Like, is this something that we use on a regular basis, or is there somebody who could find more use or value or joy from it? And so I got rid of a bunch of stuff. And so my husband comes home from work, and literally there is like 6 garbage bags of, now granted, not big outdoor garbage bags, the black ones, but like the indoor ones you put in your garbage can liner. And he goes, oh my gosh, like, where did you find that much stuff? And I'm like, it was amazing. I went through every cupboard, everything, looking for just what are we using that has value? And if it doesn't, can somebody else get value from it? And so that was a huge thing that I did of just clearing out energy. I did the same thing around my office. I mean, I just gutted things because I thought, if we're not using it and it's sitting in a cupboard for one day or a bin for one day, is somebody else can use it. So that was a huge thing that I did to really kind of clear out energy. The other thing that I've been spending the last couple days doing is creating some vision boards around some both personal and professional goals that I have for the year as a way to keep myself focused. And there is an app, it's a free app, I believe it's called Wishboard. And I'll include the information in the show notes. It's this great app where you can actually create vision boards, and you have the ability to save it, add it to your camera roll on your phone, or you can print them, which is what I chose to do, and put them within my planner. my calendar so it's something I can kind of reflect on a periodic basis once a month. Like, am I making decisions that align with these goals? And so that's been really fun. The Wishboard app is super fun, super easy to work with, and you can upload pictures from Google that represent different things. You can upload sayings, or you can write, your own stuff on these boards. So that has been really, really cool to do. But my hope from that and my goal from that is to be able to really have this visual reminder of my words. Discernment and ease, discernment and ease. And so that's another thing of clearing out energy. We've got to keep it enough in the forefront of our mind and enough in our visual kind of radar that we don't forget what we're working towards, right? And that when we get questions or inquiries to, come to this birthday party or take this trip or take on this work project or whatever it is, that we can look at what we are really focusing our energy on and make decisions based on, do they support these goals? Looking at the calendar and saying, okay, is there time here? Is there space to breathe? Or am I jam-packing everything full with a yes? Which actually leads me to the third thing that I have done that has been really awesome in terms of kind of creating more intentionality in my decisions. And that was getting a wall-sized calendar. Now, I got it from bestself.co or bestselfco.com. I'll look up the website in case you guys want to get it. And it's only probably, maybe a 1-inch square, maybe a little bit bigger each square of the calendar, but literally you can either hang it one side vertically or the other side horizontally, and it's the entire year mapped out, which sounds really overwhelming of like, holy crap, there's my full year, right? But what I love about it is I can see where I'm spending my time. So that when somebody asks me, mid-month, hey, do you want to do this? I can look a little bit ahead and say, okay, when is their downtime scheduled in? When is there kind of that recoup, relaxation time happening? So that I can make a more informed decision on it. And so being able to have that visual cue around it has been absolutely huge. And for me, I'm a big visual person. And so having it all up there in one calendar, and I've got it in my home office, so it's not like it's in my kitchen with my, wall calendar with everybody's birthdays on it, but it's there enough to be able to really hone myself in or reel myself in when I'm trying to make decisions. So that's really the third thing that I've done. To be able to systematically make decisions or clear energy so that I can make decisions that are in line with my words of the year. And, I think one other part of it too is being able to really identify which I would say is probably step one, which is, what is your word, right? Like, what do you want to end the year knowing that you have focused on? And you guys know this, I've talked about this before in podcasts. I believe that we can have it all, right? Like, I believe that we really can have it all as long as you define what that all is and know that it can't fit any larger than the size of your hand. And there's a couple reasons for that, right? Because if it's bigger than the size of your hand, you can't hold it in a space where you can see it. Right? And if you're needing to kind of juggle it between a couple hands or something like that, obviously things can fall through the crack. So this idea of being able to have a word that is your focus for the year really allows you to know that you are, almost like this grace that you give yourself of knowing that you are succeeding, you are excelling at where you are focusing your energy because you've realistically defined what you want that to be. Versus thing after thing after thing, which then ends up being such a distraction and such an overwhelming experience that we end up getting nothing done. So that really piece, I think, is big. So that's a lot of information. But I think lastly, the one thing I want to share with you guys is something that actually happened over Thanksgiving. I've got 2 sisters, like you guys, most of you know, and I have, my dad has 1 brother and he has 3 boys. So there's 3 of us girls and 3 boy cousins, and we're all pretty much the same age. We're all within, 5 years is the kind of the biggest gap between the oldest and the youngest of all 6 of us cousins. And all 3 of my cousins are married to just wonderful, wonderful women. And we see them pretty infrequently. I obviously keep in touch with them in different ways, but I really see them once a year. there may be some birthday parties or other events that we come together for, but once a year really is guaranteed. Thanksgiving, we're all going to get together. And I remember, months ago, who knows how long it was, hearing this kind of idea that when somebody asks you how you are, you instantaneously say busy, because we're all freaking busy, right? And kind of how just inauthentic that answer is, because it doesn't mean anything in terms of what's going on in your life, right? How are you? I'm busy. Like, what does that even mean, right? And so I had heard this before and thought, gosh, it's really true, and wanting to be more intentional when I answer that question. So here I arrived at Thanksgiving, and I'm so excited to see my cousins and their wives and their families, and obviously my sisters and their families, and my folks and everybody. And I see my cousin's wife, and she gives me a big hug. She's one of these people that just, her smile lights up the room, and she gives you these great hugs. She gives me a hug, and she goes, Anna, how are you? And I go, oh my gosh, Edie, busy. And I wanted to slap myself. I wanted to be like, oh my goodness, here you are looking forward to this interaction, looking forward to this conversation with these women that you just adore. And the first thing that comes to mind is, I'm busy. And I thought, gosh, like this moment of connection where she reached out and authentically asked how I was, I just kind of shut it down by saying I was busy. And it was totally unintentional. And so I kind of gathered myself a little bit and I said, hang on a second, let me think about it, right? Because I don't know the last time I've really slowed down and asked myself how I am. And so I kind of, brought it back and we talked, and it was a really good conversation that actually ended up opening up more conversations through the night, which was really great. But it was so wild to me of this awareness of how, of the word busy and how inauthentic it is and how just cookie cutter that answer is, right? And how much it distances us from one another. And how much I was looking forward to these interactions with my cousins and their wives, and how quickly that word came out of my mouth. And so really that's what inspired this whole topic for the show, of this idea of, kind of our state of mind and where are we focusing our energy and how are we creating the state of mind we want to have by moving one direction in 12 inches versus 12 directions in 1 inch in 12 directions. And it just really inspired me of saying, like, I don't want that to be my answer. When somebody asks me how I am, I pop off busy. I don't want that to be true anymore. Not because I think life is going to be so easy or that there's not going to be busyness around me, but am I creating enough pauses throughout my day, throughout my week, throughout my month, so that when somebody asks me how I am, I can give them an authentic answer because I've slowed down long enough to check in with me to see how I really am. And that's my biggest hope for all of you, is that if we're thinking about what state of mind do we want to create for ourselves in 2018, of being able to take ownership around the choices we can make around our state of mind, and also these practical things that we can do to be able to clear out dead, cluttered, conflicting energy and create a path so that we are better able to end the year knowing that we have kept an intentional focus and been able to create check-ins so that we are ending the year with a place of peace and a place of excitement because we've experienced life how we've wanted to experience despite the things that get thrown at us. So that's really my hope for all of you in this beautiful new beginning of 2018. I thank all of you for your connection, for your amazingness. And I, of course, always would love to hear from you. You can reach out to Anna at herlifeunscripted.com. And I look forward to what the year brings for you. I would love for you guys to reach out and tell me your word. If there was a word that you are having to be your intentional focus this year, I would love to hear your words. And just most of all, I just thank you for letting me into your world, into your heart. And I cannot wait to talk to you all next month. Take care, ladies. Bye-bye.